Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Higher Ground Project. This is a podcast for job seekers, career pros, and really anybody who's trying to find solid ground in this very unpredictable market. I'm David Peterson.
And I'm Doug Kimball. And if you felt like the whole job searching process is its own kind of endurance sport, you're not alone. There's a lot of us going through that.
So basically, what we're here to do is to bring you real talk and real stories from real people who are really in the thick of it right now. And each week, we're going to bring on a guest who's navigating this job market and really shine a light on their experience, their talent, and most importantly, their truth.
And while we're doing it, we're going to share some practical job search strategies, things that have worked for people we've talked to, career insights, ways to help build visibility, even when the job market really feels like it's kind of on mute or on ghost mode. We also want to thank our sponsor, Think Strategic Alliances, who's helped put together fractional marketing opportunities, and so our guests will have an opportunity to be featured on their portfolio page. So that's pretty exciting.
And today's guest is an exciting one. This is somebody whose story is both powerful and unfortunately painfully relatable. She's got grit, she's got grace, and something she calls a harmony hero mindset. Let's welcome Sherry Grote to the Higher Ground Project.
So I've known her for a bit. She's held marketing ownership across B2B, SaaS, tech, wireless, kind of done it all. She is, in my mind, a demand gen superhero, which is pretty cool. I've learned a lot from her in my time. But she knows how to build influence, align teams, create that clarity. And I think really the big thing is that she stays grounded in purpose and reality through the whole process and having that clarity. So excited to have you on the podcast.
And she has a really great, oh, I'm so sorry, Sherry.
No, that's okay. I was just going to say thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here and I'm looking forward to the conversation.
And thank you for being here. You know, we've heard that one of your superpowers is orchestrating harmony and creating a movement where influence meets impact, which is super important. And it sounds like you're somebody who brings peace that drives progress. And honestly, looking at this crazy job market and how things are going, the world could use a lot more of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, learning how to navigate with grace, I think, is an important part. So I agree.
Mm-hmm.
So Sherry, we always start with a section called Clear the Pipes. Now, in this section, this is your chance to really vent about the job search without any filters. We just want to hear your full unfiltered truth. So let us know, what has been the most frustrating part of your job search journey so far?
Oh my goodness. What a great way to open that up. Let's see, where do I really start with that? I've seen it all. I've seen layoffs. I've seen ghosting, very long interview processes, 10 interviews, a dinner and presentations to the board. But I think the hardest one for me to bounce back from and deal with was being the only candidate left for the job. And I still lost the job. And it was because of a board decision. And then here's the really amazing part. I have a friend who's a recruiter, and she called me 2 weeks ago and she said, hey, I have this really great opportunity and I thought of you because you have such great experience and you have that harmony hero. You get along with everybody, and I'm having trouble finding candidates that they have the experience, but they can't get along with the team and the SLT. And she says, and I would really like to put you forward for the job. And she tells me the name of the company. It was the same company that I had lost because of the board decision.
Oh my God.
So, yeah, that was fun.
Incredible.
So you did everything right. You did everything you were supposed to do. You're basically down to the final wire. Yes. And they changed their mind.
Yes.
And then somebody came back to you and said, hey, let's talk to them again. That's just crazy.
So basically, they gave you emotional and professional whiplash.
Yes. And it was very interesting. I did tell the recruiter, I said, if you want to throw my hat in the ring, you can. I said, I don't know how that will go because of the circumstances that had happened. However, it would make me very happy because if I were to get the job, it would cost them a lot more because they would have to pay for the recruiter and for me, not just me when it was the HR person that I had been dealing with in the first place. So we'll see what happens.
100%. And I think you're highlighting a really important issue here that a lot of job seekers are facing, which is we want to work for a company that's organized and that has, a culture of positive reinforcement and where we're going to feel comfortable. And working or interviewing for a job like this, I'm sure it crossed your mind at some point, well, this is just too much for me. But at the same time, you know it's a great opportunity. So I'm sure there was a battle going on in your head about, is it worth it? Is it not worth it? And that's really a position that a lot of us find ourselves in, which is unfortunate.
It really is. I mean, at the end of the day, I've been thinking of it as truly a resilience tour. That's how if I were to coin what my job search has been, if I were to make it into a documentary, that's what I would call it, the resilience tour, because it's required. You have to be able to bounce back from those kinds of conversations, or you have been courting a company for 3 months and you're down to the last candidate as well for that. You've done all the presentations and somebody swoops in at the last second and they hire them on the spot. You just, you just have to be resilient.
Totally. And I mean, tour is the apt term because you actually had to fly somewhere in order to have this experience, which just makes it exponentially worse.
Yeah, you put all that
Yes.
time into it. So
Yes.
let's switch gears. I mean, resilience is clearly one of your superpowers. I mean, we've talked about that briefly, but let's pick out one or two other. What's a good superpower that Sherry knows? She says, "This is me."
So when I think about the 5% that makes me different and how I position myself when I'm in the market for a position, talking to leadership, talking to CEOs, talking to board members, I explain that I am the Harmony hero. And that is such a requirement now in today's day and age. I am able to align resources, people, messages, and outcomes so that teams can actually move forward with clarity, confidence, and most of all, compassion. And harmony is really a mnemonic for the characteristics that I bring to the table. So that's a heightened EQ. I know how to drive alignment. It's resilience. It's motivation, knowing how to motivate your team, how to motivate your peers in order to be able to get the job done, being open-minded to other people's ideas, being navigational, and then lastly, being youthful. And that's really about celebrating progress over perfection. It's not about having to get it right every single time. And when you put all of those pieces together, along with the marketing skills that have come from 25 plus years of experience, that's something that's invaluable to teams, whether that's the executive team, the marketing team, the sales organization, the product team. All of those have to be working in perfect balance and perfect harmony in order for the organization to be in a hyper growth mode. And that's my superpower.
100%. No, I think that's a great superpower. I think it's honestly undervalued. I think we've all met people across the span of our careers. I know we've all worked 20 plus years now, where somebody may have all of the skills, checked all of the boxes on the resume, but then they're impossible to work with, or their work style is not adaptable to the rest of the team. And then does it even matter at the end of the day that they have those skills if they're just going to be a complete roadblock?
Exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, how much does internal chaos within an organization cost the organization? And it can stall anything. It can stall progress. It can stall campaigns. It can stall revenue and pipeline creation. So harmony isn't really just something that is a nice to have. In my opinion, it is absolutely crucial in order to be successful in any type of organization, but particularly in B2B SaaS, which is where I have found my sweet spot in the last few years.
Well, I like how you described it too. I mean, I like the mnemonic. I never said that word right, but you clearly have said this a few times, and conveyed that. I think it's very, very clear. So, resilience, harmony, very key part of who you are. What's another super? I know there's more to you. What's another marketing superpower that you might want to kind of call out?
So that would be being a revenue marketer and a demand generation expert. I have a marketing communications background, which is great. I have all the words, all the colors. I know how to make all that stuff look good, sound good, be pretty, all of that. But where the skills really came together was when I built a demand gen engine from the ground up, before there was such a thing. And that superpower has allowed me to take both the harmony and the demand gen together to work with sales and to build that relationships with sales, to build pipeline for them so that they have the ability to actually meet their quota, which at the end of the day is what everybody needs in every business. That's how everybody gets to keep a job. right? So how important is that in an organization? I'd say
And
that's
yeah.
fundamentally essential, right? That's my superpower.
And you're highlighting a really interesting issue. I've definitely gone through some interviews where I have to take a variety of EQ tests that are
Hmm.
supposed to some they're supposed to evaluate my EQ somehow by just checking some boxes. Unfortunately, what's happening right now, there are people out there in the market like you who have all of this great experience, have a very, very, very high EQ to the point where this is one of your superpowers. This is what you lead with. But because your resume is not, formatted correctly, it'll get lost in the mix.
Hmm.
And that's what's so frustrating is people, including the three people on this call who have 20 plus years of experience, are getting pushed to the side because we don't know like the tricks and tips to get to the top of the pile. And I feel like that's where the job market is severely broken. Hearing from somebody like you who's been doing this for a long time, who's obviously very successful, great, makes great relationships, and I know that if you got to the interview round, you would nail it. But just to get to that step takes so much, like gaming the system almost, which unfortunately does not work out for a lot of people who have our years of experience.
Hmm.
Yeah, which is a great segue to my next question is if you could just get one piece of advice, whether it's from us or people who are going to watch this, to help with your job search, what would that be?
So one trick that I have learned in getting through the ATS systems is make sure that your resume, most marketing people, by the way, love to have pretty resumes, right? That's part of who we are. It's what we do. That does not fly in today's day and age. It needs to be a simple word, ATS ready, friendly document, right? So make sure you do that. Second of all, look at the job description and pull out words from the job description and put them in your ATS friendly resume somewhere in white space in white font. Doesn't have to be
It's
pretty,
a great
doesn't have
tip.
to tie in directly with whatever you're doing, but this is something that I am now trying to see if it's actually going to bump up the potential, right? So just making sure that you're putting those keywords in there and not having to go in and revamp your resume every time. Just change that one little white font section, of your ATS friendly resume.
That's genius.
Totally.
I'm going to play with that.
Yeah, and this is a great tip. And to Sherry's point, an ATS resume, unfortunately, is required at this point when you're applying for roles that have thousands and thousands of candidates. I just had an interview for a role the other day where they said it was 3,000 candidates for one role. So in order to get to the top of the pile, you do have to create this ATS optimized resume. And just to give you a heads up ahead of time, it looks terrible.
Mhm.
It looks like a second grader put it together, but it is effective. So having an ATS optimized resume with the white font and then having your pretty resume to share with hiring managers directly is a great strategy. Thank you for sharing that, Sherry.
Yeah, no problem. My
So
pleasure.
you shared a great piece of advice, which I'm already taking notes of myself here. What advice would you like, and how can people help you, whether it's me and David or somebody else, to help you in your job search?
So one of the things that I am constantly asking people when I'm talking to them, because I'm doing a lot of networking right now, because that's really the best way to find an opportunity, whether that's for my consulting side of the house or whether it's for a real, I say real job, but if it's for a full-time gig, right? But I want to know what challenges are marketing teams facing in this post AI boom, right?
Mm.
And what leadership qualities do you think are being prioritized as a result of that?
Listen, that's a great question, and I know it's really been the top of mind for a lot of marketers. A lot of marketers that I know have been asking that question. Really, what I've seen just from my echo chamber is that content marketers are often struggling as part of their job in terms of how they implement AI. Obviously, researching and content development has been streamlined thanks to ChatGPT. But to your point on leadership qualities, critical thinking is so important. And I was just sharing a story actually before I got on this call. I have a friend who's hiring for a role, and in the middle of the interview, he realized that the person he was interviewing was using a chat GPT or an AI bot to listen to the conversation and write responses out that he was reading off of the computer after the person was done asking the question. And so I think Sherry's point here about not only EQ, but also critical thinking is so important. And those values, I think, are going to be the most, sought after values moving forward, because anybody can write something on ChatGPT, but can you critically think? Can you get along with people? Can you be a human being? And I think that's where, somebody like Sherry shines, because you're not just a bot and you can do more than what ChatGPT allows you to do. And it just becomes kind of like a part of your process versus the whole process.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things I look at is the importance of context and content. As a very experienced marketer like you, to stand out, you have the ability to take all the things that are going on. We talk about chaos and the harmony mindset, bring that together, and now look at the appropriate options and help make strategic planning and decisions from that. Where AI, very, very powerful, but it does not have that critical reasoning thinking that you have, where you can say, here's a lot of great options, but we're going to go with this one because of the experience and the mindset that I bring to that, and that ability to create that connections between things. We as humans understand context and make decisions that way. So that's one of the things that, AI is great. We have to adapt to it, but we still are stronger than AI.
Yes,
I totally agree. I love that you guys are thinking about it the same way that I do, because the human element and managing people, which can be incredibly messy, is crucial to the success of business today. And when you have AI writing resumes, and you have AI writing job descriptions, and you have AI evaluating the two to match them together, what I'm hearing in the marketplace is that there is a ton of mismatches that happen when you get to the interview, because they're missing the critical skills of being a human being at that point. And AI is not able to match perfectly for what they're really looking for in their organization. So it's interesting. I agree. We do have to use it. There are great things that it can do to help us. Even in the job search, it can help. However, I think people need to just remember that we are human beings.
Beautifully said. I think the conversation about the importance of humanity, and not just humanity and EQ, but also being human beings, cannot be underscored enough. So beautifully said. And Sherry, thank you so much for showing up with honesty and heart today. I loved our discussion about EQ and the importance of that. And I'm going to break the fourth wall here. If you are looking for an incredible marketer with very high EQ who will be able to get along with your organization and create harmony, look no further.
That's wonderful. That's so sweet of you to say. And this has been a really great place to just have a conversation about what it's been like out here, because the reality is it's hard. And interestingly enough, I have at least 4 friends in the same boat as myself looking for opportunities, which means we're all basically looking for the same opportunity, but we all have different skill sets and we all bring different things to the table. So I appreciate having the opportunity to actually kind of reflect, recharge a little bit about this, and keep the momentum going.
Yeah, it's been fun, and I've learned a couple of things in the process, which I always enjoy. And to everyone listening, to the point that being made here, if you're on your own version of your resilience tour, you're not alone. There's a lot of people obviously going through this struggle. The system is tough, and I think there's some flaws to it. But you are tougher, and with your network, you're even stronger.
And we're an open door for guests. If you're looking for work and want to share your story, or if you were looking for work and want to share some stories about your time in the job market, come be a guest on the Higher Ground Project. You have absolutely got value. You've got insight. Let's get you seen. I also want to thank our sponsor, Strategic Alliances, that they're a part of this visibility, and we really, really appreciate your support. Also, be sure to check out our website and LinkedIn. We'll be featuring Sherry's story today and also spotlighting more incredible professionals just like her every week. And we really appreciate your time here. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next one.